man and I decided we're looking into buying what is now our Mountain Farmstead, we hesitated because the land here is really, really, really rocky. Underneath the soil, the little bit of topsoil we have, is massive river rock. And so we knew if we bought this place, we were going to have to use alternative gardening methods. One of the ideas I bumped into was the Hugelkultur garden bed. So it's all built above the ground, and it's very interesting because the base is composed of wood. Now in this video we use cottonwood and poplar, but basically the idea is you put down a layer of wood, so large logs, then smaller branches and twigs. Then you cover that in a layer of uncomposted either animal manure or foliage, so grass clippings, things like leaves, things like that. On top of that, you're going to see us put down a layer of good soil for planting in, and on top of that, straw for mulch. These are no-till garden beds, and the idea is that over time, that wood's going to decompose underneath the soil. It's going to create a sort of a sponge for absorbing water, so you're supposed to be able to water these gardens less. And then it also, as it decomposes and breaks down, it releases heat up into the garden bed. So they're supposed to be really, really good for growing. This is our first time experience. This is not a how-to video. It's just what we did and how it turned out. So it took us about 2 months in total. We were working on the mountain cottage and then working on the gardens and going back and forth. So 2 months. These are very labor-intensive garden beds, but it's been worth it. At least so far, it's been a good deal. So watch this video and enjoy. Alright guys, there's our rough layout. There's still a lot of wood laying around that we're going to fill in the centers of them with, but that's the basics. Before we bring in the manure for our Hugelkultur beds, I'm just giving things a good watering. These unfortunately had to sit for about a month before we were able to bring in the manure, so I'm just watering everything. The truck and trailer's coming in right now, so we're pretty much ready to go. Go grab some goat manure is what we were able to get our hands on. So that is what we're gonna do. All right, so we're gonna let this run for quite a while. Let it kind of soak everything, help the dirt settle a little bit. So our hugelkultur beds have their first layer of hot compost or hot manure, which actually isn't that hot, but I think it's still gonna work. We've put that on, we've watered it. Now we need to go through and clean up all the little twigs poking up through, because this next layer of soil actually isn't gonna be that deep. And so we're just gonna trim up the beds, clean them up a little bit, so when we garden, we're not catching sticks and pulling them out and uprooting other plants. So we're just gonna kind of manicure it, and then we're gonna start dumping our last and our very final load of soil. So we're taking topsoil from our land, and then we had, I think it's been composted for 3 years, 3-year-old straw, manure, wood shavings. And so that's gonna be our final bit. But let's go clean up the beds right now, and then we'll start hauling in some dirt and putting down our final layer of soil. Before we wrap up this video, I need to take you to the hugelkultur beds and show you how things are growing and what's growing there, because the proof is in whether or not things actually do well in it. Now these beds have been planted for, I think it's been just over 3 weeks. A lot of it was directly sown, some of it was from starts, but they're doing really well. So let's go take a look. Has it been worth it? Has it been worth going through the back-breaking labor of building these hugelkultur beds? Don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, it's not that much work. I've never seen anything like this before. I grew up on a farm. I grew up gardening. This was craziness trying to build these beds. But I love how healthy and vigorous, how fast growing everything seems to be in these beds. I'm delighted. It's the first year on the Mountain Farmstead, and we have some really good gardens going already. I think it's been worthwhile for us. Hopefully you enjoyed watching us break our backs. But that's it, and it's done and it's over, and I will keep you updated, probably on the blog, with some posts about how it's going, the progress, all that good stuff. So that is our Hugelkultur building adventure.